So the place that we're going to find this is actually up here. We'll click on create, and then we're going to find our way down here. So within this drop down, find your way to AI avatars, right? So click on AI avatars. That will then open up a new tab. And then this is where we can build out our avatars, right? So you can see like we have pre-existing avatars down here that we can use, or we can do what we call text avatars. That's what all these are. And you can see I've definitely had some fun with this. So I don't know if I'm abiding by 100% copyright law here, because some of those characters are pretty obvious. But what I can do is I can click over here on create your own character, and then you can find your way over to enter your text prompt. So once you click on this, this will allow you to start building out a character in any style that you want. I mean, you can see, we had like 3D animation style, comic book style, right? So these are just things that I plugged in and it generated for me based on my prompts. So click here on enter your text prompt, and then this is where you can plug in your prompt. And the more generic you are with your prompts, the less happy you're going to be with your output. So just some like really quick guidelines for that, just to kind of think about. And if you pull up that prompt, you can take a look at that as we sort of talk about it. But some of the key things that you want to think about when you're building your prompts for these text avatars is, first of all, to define a style, right? You think about like what we saw like in some of those examples, right? Like you could do comic book style, and we'll talk about one that I made, and we'll put that into a video in a second. So describe the character too. So everything that you can think of. Don't leave anything out, and be concise as possible with that. Avoid any kind of ambiguous descriptions. So the more specific you can be with all of these descriptions, the better. And then the other thing is make it video ready. So including phrases like you want them to be front facing, right? Gazing at the camera, you want to blur the background. So all those little elements that you can include in the prompt are just going to improve your overall output from there. The other thing that you want to think about is specifying the shot framing. So for me, I think a best practice is to make sure that you have, basically like a portrait style of the character. If you have a full body one, I think that the output isn't as good as if you have a more portrait style version of the text avatar. So make sure that you include that, like shoulders up, portrait style, anything like that, to kind of help define having that character be mostly just their face, right? And then the last thing that you want to think about is background descriptions. So define the background, like, where are they? Are they in an office? Are they out in the desert, right? So all those elements are going to come into play. And then also if you want like the background to be a little bit blurred, right? Those are all things that you can plug in, and that will be picked up for the prompt. So I have an example one that we'll use. I'm just going to copy and paste this one. This is a prompt I already created. I'll hit paste. All right, so this prompt is comic book style shoulder up portrait of a confident office professional front facing, looking at the camera. Young adult with short brown hair, wearing a crisp white shirt and a navy blazer. Clear lines, bold colors, subtle shading. Background is a soft gradient, blurred for focus, right? So all those different elements, and obviously you don't have to do the same thing that I did, but the more specific you can get with those different elements that you're building with your prompt will give you the output that you're actually looking for. So once you have that in there, you can choose the different aspect ratios that you want. I'm just going to keep it 16:9, but if you wanted it to fit into like a phone or something like that, right, you could do that with like a 9:16, right? So I'll hit generate. This will give us two options that we can choose from, or we can just regenerate it until we find one that we like. But I recommend not just hitting generate over and over again. If you don't get what you like on the first go, make an update to this and then hit generate again, and then kind of like, reiterate from that point. So this process typically takes, I would say like, maybe 30 seconds, but you can see like, here's like these different options that come up. And again, I'm like, okay, if I don't like this, I go in here, I make a couple changes, I click generate, and I reiterate those versions and keep kind of building on that from there. So once you're happy with that, all you really need to do is just select the character like this, and then click add to my library.